Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir, for that detailed explanation on this matter that occurred in the House. But, Mr. Speaker, as we see, we are again witnessing this morning disrespect for the chair, for the House, total disrespect and dereliction of duty today by members of the opposition benches not being here to participate. After all, they're being sent and paid for by the public purse to do the people's business and ought to be here. But thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that explanation. Mr. Speaker, members of this Honourable House, citizens and residents of Antigua and Barbuda, I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely and wholeheartedly congratulate the Honourable Prime Minister on one of the finest budget presentations ever made in this Honourable House. Sir, I've been in this House, well actually in the Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda, as an appointed senator since 1999. And I say without any reservation, I've listened to many budget speeches by many ministers of finance, not just the great oratory skills of the Honourable Prime Minister, but in terms of the content, Mr. Speaker, in terms of the substance, it shows, Mr. Speaker, that this Gaston Brown's administration is very much indeed a caring administration for the people of this country. So I really would like to congratulate the Prime Minister and his team in the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'm again honoured to have the opportunity to represent the people of St. Peter's, who elected me to this Honourable House to be a part of a team that is charting the way forward to improve the lives of all Antiguans and Barbudans at this most challenging time in our history. Mr. Speaker, I have been graciously endowed with a new lease on life. I want at the very beginning of my contribution to the budget to reconfirm my undying love for this country, my love for my fellow Antiguans and Barbudans, for my parliamentary colleagues, and my commitment to work to make Antigua and Barbuda a country which we all can be proud of, a country where, Mr. Speaker, we can live in peace and prosperity. And as parliamentarians, sir, we have a very special responsibility to ensure that our country prospers and that our people can have a comfortable life where all our people can be the best they can be and have an opportunity to strive and work hard at attaining their life's dreams. Mr. Speaker, we have laid a solid foundation over the last year and a half in the area of tourism, economic development, investment and energy, and our actions have now begun to bear fruit. The nation has started to see the tangible deliverables of our administration's efforts to improve the standard of living for the good people of Antigua and Barbuda. Mr. Speaker, this budget marks a watershed moment, a watershed juncture in the history of our country's development. For it is the point where more jobs, more disposable income, and more opportunity begin to flow to our people to ensure that their future and the future of our country is restored. This is the year when the rebuilding engine will be running full throttle. The promise made to the people of Antigua and Barbuda by Prime Minister Gaston Brown and his government to give them hope, to again provide opportunity to rebuild their lives is being kept. The smiles have returned to their faces and prosperity is now returning throughout the length and breadth of Antigua and Barbuda. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that since June 2014, the people of this blessed Antigua and Barbuda appreciated a new ray of hope brought in by this new administration. Their eyes were dimmed by the failures of the previous regime in those harsh years when neither the then Minister of Tourism nor the then Prime Minister and his cabinet could muster the intestinal fortitude to tell you, the people of this country, the real truths about non-investments, about the great losses that were being experienced in tourism and the economy in general. The people of this nation had their hopes sunk, but they were rescued and brought back to life with the coming in of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. We make no idle boast or empty promises, Mr. Speaker. We did our homework. We listened to you in every street, in every village, and we came up with the types of initiatives that would put food back on the tables, get people back to work, and get people to come in and share in our paradise while investing in the economic development and social enablement of this country. Mr. Speaker, we promised not out of want and desperation of power, but we promised because we knew we had to meet the expectations of the people in a real and in a tangible way. We had to save this country of ours from the falling under the weight of an unimpressive, poverty-prone UPP regime. And true to our philosophy in the ABLP, sir, we put the people first and foremost in all our rebuilding plans. For this is the tradition and the great legacy that has been bequeathed to the Labour Party by V.C. Byrd Sr. For we on this side, sir, always know that the workers of this country and the people matter most in national development. Today, sir, with your permission, I lay out the work undertaken. Given my ministerial portfolio, I will tell you of the strategic efforts that we have made and the giant strides achieved in 2015, sir, and even the loftier goals that will be achieved in 2016 and beyond. I promised the people of St. Peter and the country that we would deliver on tourism, we would deliver on investments, we will deliver on energy. And that God is my guide, and with the strong support of the various teams, because I could not and cannot do it by myself, but the strong teams working under the ministries that I lead in terms of policy directions, the ABLP will deliver. A bountiful Antigua and Barbuda is ours. So do not be fooled by those who keep lots of noise now, but were silent. They were silent when the pangs of hunger hit the empty bellies of this nation's children and adults alike. Mr. Speaker, the years between 2004 and 2014 will be remembered not for what we did as a people, no, but for all that the UPP failed to do and never even bothered to try. For the UPP abandoned people prosperity for showmanship, and they preferred backwardness to progress. And that pathway to the precipice of disaster is no longer the case. For the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party has already delivered on major investments in this country and the continuous improvement of tourist arrivals. These are the mere signs of the times, sir. And I'll explain in detail why it is that we shall prosper as a people in this country and why we shall become the economic powerhouse in this region, Mr. Speaker. I now turn, sir, to tourism. Mr. Speaker, tourism continues to be the driving force of our economy. Most of the nation's commercial activities and growth in GDP is driven by this industry. Antigua and Barbuda will continue the winning formula and roll out a strategic plan for an action-based agenda, based, sir, on sustainability, based on a strategic plan, Mr. Speaker, for community and heritage tourism, all delivered with an authentic Antiguan and Barbudan experience. For this, all hands are required on deck, Mr. Speaker. Air arrival statistics. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that we ended December 2015 with positive growth overall. Total air arrivals at the end of 2015 stood at 250,450. This represents a 1% growth compared to 2014. But do not be misled by this number. This is the real story. There was a significant increase of almost plus 9% in tourist arrivals by air in December of 2015, when 28,327 visitors came to the destination compared to 26,100 visitors in December of 2014. And there's been a steady increase in tourist arrivals by air over the last 2 years. Mr. Speaker, when you consider the efforts to close the gap and record growth in overall arrivals, the efforts made were indeed significant. The disastrous circumstances that we met when we came into office in 2014 meant that we started with a negative 8% year-to-date deficit in January of 2015. This means that we have moved the needle, Mr. Speaker, plus 9% between January 2014, sir. We have moved the needle, and the end of the year to achieve overall growth. The strong performance from the UK and Europe, along with growth from the US in November and December, with the new JetBlue flight, has returned positive overall growth for the entire destination. Arrivals from the United Kingdom, Mr. Speaker, in December 2015 were 7,733, up double digits, plus 11% on arrivals of 6,698 for the previous December 2014. Year-to-date arrivals from the UK at the end of 2015 stood at 77,890, up 9.4% from 71,193 from the previous year. The UK and Europe has been our strongest performing market, sir. Visitors from this source market tend to stay longer, between 10 to 14 days, and so contribute, sir, significantly more revenue than the North American visitor who stay for an average of 5 to 7 days. The combined arrivals, sir, from the UK and Europe at the end of 2015 were showing 96,250 arrivals, a plus 5.45% increase on the total European arrivals in 2014. But arrivals from the US in December of 2015 stood at 11,434, which was a plus 11.14% increase on December the previous year. Hotel occupancy, Mr. Speaker. These figures are supplied by the Antigua Hotels and Tourists Association from their members and are showing a much improved position this year for the last 4 months of 2015. They recorded the following, sir. September 2015, which traditionally is the slowest month of the year, overall occupancy was 49%, up 5 points from 44.4% occupancy in September 2014. October 2015 occupancy was almost on par, 49.8%, compared to 50.3% last year, November 2015. But overall occupancy stood at 65.3%, up 5% compared to 60.2% in November 2014. December 2015, overall occupancy was 61.6%, up 1.2% compared to 60.4% in December 2014. Tourism in Antigua and Barbuda, Mr. Speaker, is now returning positive results in a big way, as these are the best hotel occupancy figures recorded by the industry at the start of the season since 2007, with the trend steadily increasing, sir. I now turn to the state of the product. Mr. Speaker, product development and excellence in service delivery will be emphasized over the next few months. Efforts will be centered on enhancing the visit experience, Excellence at every service touch point will be our focus. Our air, our seaports, our hotels, our shopping areas. The employees will be targeted for further training and development and exposure. Offering quality service and value for money will be the hallmarks of the visitor experience. This is critical, Mr. Speaker, in improving the island visitor spend, which is a key performance industry indicator, Mr. Speaker. We are going to embark on an island-wide beautification project. We are going to have suitable, beautiful trees and flora will be used, sir, to improve the island's curb and highways, appeal and beautify key areas, sir, to include aesthetically pleasing gardens, to include lovely royal palms, oleanders, sir, lovely bougainvillea, foxtails. Mr. Speaker, the Fort James Development Project, which is the brainchild of our Prime Minister, is a project which will be a key feature, Mr. Speaker, of the product development undertaken. Fort James is one of the best beaches, and the landside concepts include beautiful restaurants, providing authentic local cuisine, and a museum detailing the history of the fort, and a lovely marina. The Fort James Development Project, sir, it's not a dream. US $4 million, over 10 million Eastern Caribbean dollars from the CIP, sir, will be used by this Gaston Brown's administration to jumpstart this project. And that is the first phase. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. This will be, sir, a day tourism facility. This will be designed to empower local Antiguans and Barbudans to construct and own bars, restaurants, a water park, a condominium-style accommodations, a marina. The project also includes, sir, an amphitheater to seat nearly 10,000 and will be in the premier tourism recreation facility on the island, catering to both visitors and residents. Walking trails will also be incorporated into the green space. This project will commence very shortly, sir, in conjunction with one of the several developers, Bamboo Beach developers, who have committed to moving in excess of 1,500 cruise passengers a day to the Fort James facility. Mr. Speaker, safety, health and security continues to be paramount in the product mix. CCTV cameras improve street lighting and stepped up police patrols, Mr. AG, in high visitor traffic locations have been already implemented to ensure the safety of our residents and our visitors. Regulations, sir, governing the standards, because we got to have standards in this country, for hotels, for tour operators, for transportation, taxi drivers, and all other tourism industry stakeholders and related businesses, is already drafted, Mr. AG, and will be sent shortly to your chambers for vetting, to go to Cabinet and to then return or to be brought here to Parliament. Mr. Speaker, tourism awareness will be enhanced with the implementation of a program called Think Tourism. The television show aims at bringing renewed awareness to the tagline, tourism is everybody's business. Yes. Mr. Speaker, it is everybody's business. We must not only talk the talk, but we must walk the walk. Yes. Mr. Speaker, residents and citizens should understand their role in the industry and have an understanding of the four critical sectors of the industry. That is accommodation, sir, cruise, yachting, and community tourism. For example, Mr. Speaker, we still have, sir, challenges in convincing some technicians in the Ministry of Finance of the critical importance of allocating adequate and timely resources to support the ministry's agenda. But we also need to drive, Mr. Speaker, an understanding of the internal and external marketing. Public relations, Mr. Speaker, and promotions is critical. Room stock. Mr. Speaker, we inherited a room stock product that had deteriorated to a level that prohibited our ability to grow when we came into office. In 2014, I repeat that, we inherited a room stock, Mr. Speaker, that had deteriorated to a level that prohibited our ability as a destination to grow. Mr. Speaker, Jolly Beach Resort is a very important national asset for the people of Antigua and Barbuda. The resort not only provides significant employment, but it also creates significant opportunities for local businesses and collateral industries, in addition to generating substantial tax revenues for the government. But our swift action under Gaston Brown's leadership, Mr. Speaker, we were able to stabilize Jolly Beach, improve its operations, preserved hundreds of jobs in this country, preserved critical airlift, and negated the collateral damage of loss of jobs, loss of revenue, and the ultimate collapse of the property. And we did just that, Mr. Speaker. In fact, truth be told, sir, our targeted marketing approach with key overseas tour operators who regard Jolly Beach as a lead price point because it's hotel rooms like Jolly Beach that fills the back of the plane, sir, has ably assisted in safeguarding the viability of this property. And Mr. Speaker, the government intervened to save this property, and so did Mr. Rob Barrett. And tribute must be given to Mr. Rob Barrett of Elite Resorts, who stepped forward and went and secured a management contract with the present owners of Jolly Beach, Mr. Speaker. In fact, occupancy at Jolly Beach has moved, sir, from 30% to over 50% in the last month and is steadily improving. The government's decision to acquire non-performing tourist assets, sir, is not idle talk. Where we have made interventions, we have saved jobs, revenue, sir, and flights to this country. And Jolly Beach is a prime example of the decisive action of this Gaston Brown's administration. Mr. Speaker, we are not in the business of acquiring privately owned property. Let me say so. For we are a capitalist society and firm proponents of the free enterprise system. But these assets, sir, they are our equivalent of oil to Trinidad, bauxite to Jamaica, bananas to St. Lucia and Dominica, and even ganja to St. Vincent. I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Speaker, it's not that we want to be high-handed and nationalize private property, but where we have underperforming assets in this country, this Gaston Brown government will do whatever is necessary within the confines of the law to return these important assets to the full economic circulation. Mr. Issa Nicholas, the owner of Royal Antigua, sent a letter from the Honorable Prime Minister requesting the government be provided with a firm proposal to bring this property back into economic viability. Failure to do so would cause the government, sir, to take steps within the law after we have exhausted all discussions and negotiations, of course, to acquire this underperforming patrimony, because that's what it is, of our people. They were given 2 weeks by the Honorable Prime Minister to respond. The letter was hand-delivered to the Royal Antiguan Hotel. However, I understand that the owner said that he did not receive the letter, and if he asked for an extension, the Prime Minister readily agreed, I understand, sir, yesterday to extend it for 30 more days. Another property, sir, that the government is looking closely at is the defunct Blue Heron Hotel, which is on a beautiful Turner's Beach, sir. And sadly, that hotel has been closed for so many years. We cannot continue like that. It is our gold, it is our oil, those national assets, sir. We're not about nationalizing assets, as I've said. But if we have to step in after all other legal means have been pursued and exhausted, we have no other alternative, sir. We have no other alternative. Mr. Speaker, we also saw the opening of several new properties in 2015. We had the Barbuda Bell, which is a US $2 million eco-friendly investment offering guests the opportunity to enjoy eco-luxury on one of the greenest islands in the Caribbean. And this 7-unit facility will be expanded to 15 in the next 2 years. We had Tamman Hills, a stunning collection of freehold villas, townhouses, and apartments for sale and rental within a 5-star beachfront resort, also opened in 2015. Honorable Member for St. Mary's South, in your beautiful constituency. They currently have 11 villas with 36 ensuite rooms, and this will be expanded to 57 new one-bedroom suites, and they're selling them. We had Ocean Point, Mr. Speaker, formerly Kelowna Beach. I went there last Sunday. It reopened with 70 rooms and is supporting the Eden Viaggi weekly charter on Alitalia. This property has become a hive of activity, sir, with all year-round service with Alitalia, and promises to bring significant growth for our Italian visitor arrivals. New tourism investments. Mr. Speaker, our government continues to aggressively pursue a strategy of new hotel investment. The new US $150 million Beaches Resort by Sandals Resorts will now be relocated on Dickerson Bay and will provide up to 350 rooms, nearly 1,000 construction jobs, 850 permanent hotel positions when completed. With the diversion from the original Long Bay location, all plans are being revised to ensure that this project commences later this year. Then we have, Mr. Speaker, the Replay Group out of Canada. The principals have confirmed the plans for Half Moon Bay Hotel, and they completed the land transactions to the tune, Mr. AG, I believe, of $20 million United States dollars. And now we'll be able to return it to full operation. They also purchased, that is the Replay Group, 18.5 acres of land from the Mellon Estate. They were on island as recently as 2 weeks ago to finalize all the arrangements. But Mr. Speaker, the point is that the former administration was unable to structure a deal to make this project work. They would come and tell us, oh, Replay, they had Replay, that's what our Prime Minister told us. But they were playing with Replay. It was stalled in the pipeline, Mr. Speaker, for nearly 3 years until we delivered a creative solution which financially engineered this project. This Gaston Brown's administration has delivered, Mr. Speaker, and I am pleased to report that construction will begin later towards the end of 2016 on the Half Moon Bay project. And a portion of this project is to be CIP approved, and sale of the CIP real estate will begin immediately, sir. Replay has established an international distribution to accelerate the sales of CIP and in turn accelerate the redevelopment of Half Moon Bay. Mr. Speaker, a lot is being said about West Indies Oil Company, but I want to make this important intervention that the people of this country is going to get 3 projects. 3 projects by the stroke of geniusness of the Prime Minister, the stroke of a pen. 3 projects will be spun off from the WEOC deal. Tourism projects as a direct result of the government's creativity to accrue benefits to the people of Antigua and Barbuda. A new project at Valley Church, again, Honorable Member for St. Mary's South, on the 10 acres of BAF that you all gave away. Gave away, and now we are getting back. And we have to now go and pay at US $1 million. They wanted $6 million US, and we told them absolutely no, that you all gave an investor just to speculate with. Give them for nothing. And now they want $6 million US. Prime Minister Bong tell him, no. 1 million we pay. But they have agreed. So this, Mr. Speaker, is a joint public and private sector project where this government will invest. We are going to be the catalyst, like what we did with Royal Antigua over 20 years ago. And we are going to invest this Gaston Brown government US $15 million. The shareholder agreement, sir, will be with the government of Antigua and Barbuda, with the government of Venezuela, sir, and also with a renowned developer. For example, we are speaking with the Spadara family, who owns 4 hotels. We know the Sinesta Group, Maho, in St. Martin. And they are very interested, and the principals, Mr. Spadara, they're in love with that property. And it's very advanced. This project will start, sir, this year, and it will involve the construction of a 150-room facility. This will provide 300 to 400 permanent jobs. And this is the creativity of this Gaston Brown's administration. The second spin-off from that Western Oil Company deal, sir, is the Long Bay Hotel. We are going to see the construction this year again of 100, at least 100-room facility. Will start in the 4th quarter of this year with 200 to 300 construction jobs and over 400 permanent jobs up there at Long Bay Hotel, sir. And the third project, sir, is going to be a businessman's hotel at Fries Hill. This is going to be a 130 to 150-room businessman hotel, sir, at Fries Hill. Well, she's part of the national development. Nothing's wrong with that. Additionally, adjacent to this property, sir, we will see the construction of a business park on 8 acres of land. That prime land between where the AUA school used to be and the Global Bank of Commerce. And we are also inviting the Prime Minister, says, Antiguans and Barbudans to apply to develop it. And further, the Prime Minister informed us yesterday in Cabinet that Antiguans and Barbudans in the diaspora and all public servants will be able to take advantage of plots of land at Fries Hill, sir, and Marble Hill. That will be available, that the Prime Minister have already transferred to the National Housing and Urban Development Company Limited for the Antiguans and Barbudans in our diaspora and all you public servants who have served this country. You can come forward and apply, put your name down and get your house plot. This is true empowerment of the people. Yes. A government for the people, by the people and with the people. Not just talk about people first. Mr. Speaker, our government is on a mission to promote empowerment and to foster wealth creation among indigenous Antiguans and Barbudans. And to this end, a CIP-approved project, again the brainchild, we must give credit to our Prime Minister, on 20 acres of land will be constructed at Pensioners Beach. Lands that you all gave to your cronies will be taken back. Will be taken back for the people of this country. Yes, that you all give to Chaku and to Desmond Charles and other people down there. Lands will be available to empower
Honorable
a
member,
formula like 16. Yes.
Honorable member, remember, no calling.
Sorry, I take that back. Sorry, I apologize. I will just say to their cronies.
I know I got a bit carried away.
Without calling the names. But 16 persons, Mr. Speaker, who will be invited to be a part of this venture, this empowerment, this Antiguanization to own a piece of the rock, with each owning 5% shares, and a local Antiguan also, who will be the master developer, probably will have 20%. So you have a company, a truly Antiguan and Barbudan company, made up of, say, 17 Antiguans. One that has more capital, maybe you can give him 20%, you go and put in all infrastructure, build a hotel, and so forth. Then you have another 16 Antiguans. Because you don't want to make it so burdensome. Correct. I forgot that. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. The government is going to make the concessions so attractive, Mr. Speaker, that the Prime Minister have said that the land will be provided on credit for $3 a square foot. and the government will recoup its investment when the property developments are sold. What better do you want, people of this country? This is a balance in the ownership, true ownership, and the spin-off with shared benefits for our people in this country. Mr. Speaker, a new US $100 million project is also earmarked for Pelican Island for the construction of a 5-star boutique hotel. And Maiden Island will also see the construction of luxury villas with homes similar to those of Jumbi Bay. When they say the Prime Minister traveled too much, he got on a plane and went all the way to Saint-Tropez to meet this billionaire investor, Mr. Speaker. And the man have never set foot in this country. And yet, Mr. Speaker, we've already paid over 30 million US for real estate. 30 million US paid for. And now he's going to build beautiful homes like Jumbi Bay, a boutique 5-star hotel on Pelican Island and Maiden Island. That is the fruits that we will reap from the great negotiating skills of our Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. These are not projects in the pipeline. These are projects that are going to be real. And that is what you're all on the other side afraid of, Mr. Speaker. That is the problem, Mr. Speaker. Because when the development starts to roll out later this year, Mr. Speaker, you will be irrelevant. Not that you're relevant now. Correct, thank you. Mr. Speaker, the Hodges Bay Club, renamed the resort at Hodges Bay, will be fully open in 2017. And the impact of this US $50 million new 79-suite resort will be significant on our local economy. During construction, this new resort facility will provide upwards of 200 jobs when all phases of the development are completed. Elite island resorts, Mr. Rob Barrett, have already started, not will be started, he has already started an additional 63 hotel rooms at the Veranda Hotel. You can go up there and see the construction. And additionally, under the CIP initiative, 3 villas have been completed by Veranda Estates, with an additional 4 presently under construction. Mr. Speaker, the Morris Bay project, an MOA was signed earlier with His Excellency Sheikh Tariq Faisal Al Qasimi of Dubai for a 5-star 150-room luxury hotel project valued at $120 million US. We saw last week that this project will include a public national park for residents, and the groundbreaking for this facility has just taken place. Mr. Speaker, drive down to Burns Point. The project is in high gear and is 4 to 5 months ahead of schedule in the implementation of the basic infrastructure. Some of the most beautiful concrete roads are being constructed. Electricity is being put in, water, to the tune of US $15 million. The developers just cleared in excess of 40-foot containers from the harbor of pipes, Mr. Speaker, and aggregates, Mr. Speaker, to put in all of the necessary infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, we will see the employment of 40 persons. In February this month, Mr. Speaker, this month, construction on the first family home for the Thursby family commences at a cost of US $14 million for one house. You see the type of development in this country? One house, $14 million US. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the prestigious Rothschild family has purchased 5.5 acres at Burns Point. I don't want to tell you the type of money they paid, but that house will be in excess of $25 million US. Houses more expensive than Jumbi Bay will be constructed at Burns Point. 2 shore houses will be started on April the 1st. Shore houses for $8 million US each. We don't talk in EC no more, you know. US. 20 million EC dollars for a shore house. And the plans for 125 keys Satai. You know the 5-star Satai hotel group? 70 hotel rooms will remain being villas and now in the final stages of design and will be completed with construction started in December of 2016. The Sunwing Group, Mr. Speaker, you can go down to Royal Antigua and see for yourselves all the land and all the heavy-duty equipment that have already started clearing. They've gotten all the environmental clearance from the Ministry of Environment. And the government has also signed an agreement for United States $150 million with the Sunwing Group out of Canada to build an additional 5-star hotel on the adjacent property to the Royal Antigua. And the project, sir, will be built in 2 phases. The US $75 million investment in the first phase will see the construction of a Royalton hotel complex with 300 rooms, multiple restaurants, a casino, a disco, service spa, tennis courts and theaters. Phase 2 will include US $50 million construction of 200 mixed-use condominiums. Lands have already been cleared for the start of the project, sir. Drive down there. And let me say, this is a joint venture between the government of Antigua and Barbuda and Sunwing, contributing 85.4%. The remaining 14.6% is going to be held by the government for the people of this country, and that is our equity in the form of the land, sir, that you put in. Entrepreneurial socialism, that's what it is, sir. And Sunwing, sir, is collaborating with TUI Travel Group, which is the world's leading travel company with 30 million customers. So as partners with the new Deep Bay project, TUI flights will operate from the UK, US and Canada once this project is completed. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to Paradise Found Hotel and the former Key Club in Barbuda. Mr. Speaker, in spite of all the roadblocks, in spite of all the delays presented by the naysayers, this project continues. The wagon is going to keep rolling, Mr. Speaker, for the decisive action of this administration means that the new $250 million United States dollars resort is very much on track for Barbuda. For the destabilizing tactics and the roadblocks by opposing forces with no vision, absolutely no vision, have prevented the people of Barbuda from reaping the benefits that should already have been received from this project. You heard our leader emeritus speak so passionately to the people of Barbuda. Mr. Speaker, the people of Barbuda must understand what true development means for them and the vision of this administration for the people of Barbuda. It is important, Mr. Speaker, for both developers, Mr. Robert De Niro and Mr. James Packer. They spent their Christmas here in Antigua and Barbuda. They didn't have to come and spend Christmas here, but they wanted to demonstrate their commitment and their love for this country. And with Mariah Carey, Mr. Speaker, she was here. That's where they spent their beautiful holidays before they just got engaged. Mr. Speaker, that is wholehearted commitment to this country. Commitment. Since these developers have announced their project in Barbuda, it has generated so much huge amount of free publicity for our destination that we could never afford to spend. It has already attracted other high net worth investors. Mr. Speaker, oh yes, such as the New York Mayor, Mr. Michael Bloomberg, who, the former mayor, thank you, who recently, may be the president, he may want to be president, who recently visited Antigua and Barbuda, sir, at Christmas, and later had his own private seaplane join him here in exploring both of our islands. Mr. Speaker, I was told yesterday by Mr. Paul Belmondo, and I asked him if I'm at liberty to say so, that the son of the king of Saudi Arabia would like to buy 4 plots of land from the development that they're doing at Belmonte. They're selling their house in the south of France because they're afraid now because of what happened in Paris. And where they're choosing to come? Antigua. Antigua! That is what people like Robert De Niro has done for our destination. And members of the UAE, royal family are coming here, sir, in the next 2 weeks. When Prime Minister Brown and myself, journeyed to New York to the Forbes luncheon last year, we were irrelevant. Robert De Niro was there, the Prime Minister got up and speak, I got up and speak, we were irrelevant. Everybody clamoring, all the business executives, to take pictures with Robert De Niro and autographs. This is the free publicity that this man brings to this country that we can't pay for. And they want to stand in the progress of that, Mr. Speaker.
How could you be relevant?
Oh. Well, when you compare to Robert De Niro. The Grosvenor Bay project in Barbuda is another project that the member for Barbuda spoke of, Mr. Speaker. And this is going to be a $450 million project, which will be done in 7 phases and will employ over 1,000 persons. And Mr. Speaker, we are not getting up here idle and talking, because before I brought my presentation, I consulted with the member for Barbuda and we called the developers, Mr. Peter Verdi in England, and we tell him, let me tell you, you have an agreement that this government have given you in the council, and if you don't perform, we take back the lands. We take them back. So tell us what phases of the project you're doing and let us see. Are you adhering to the agreement, because we put performance clauses? And he has the money, he has the wealth to do it. He demonstrated to the Prime Minister. Not no pie in the sky. And he said to us yesterday that plans for phase 1, which will be called the Genesis, will be submitted to DCA within the next 2 weeks. He said, I can say so in Parliament within the next 2 weeks to the DCA. And groundbreaking will start as soon as approvals are made from the DCA. And this Genesis phase will be implemented in 18 months, starting construction March the 1st. This phase will provide 75 full-time jobs in Barbuda and includes a solar field, helipad, reception area, spa, along with a gym, wellness center, a feature pool, 4 2-bedroom cottages and 6 1-bedroom cottages with individual plunge pools. These will all commence this year, sir. The next phase of the project will include 2 hotels, one at 160 rooms and a smaller, more boutique property offering 70 rooms. There will be an additional 140 villas in phase 3. Later phases will also include 126 berth marina, signature golf courses and a polo sports field. Mr. Speaker, in keeping with the government's vision to make Barbuda a totally green destination, this project and the Nero's project will be fully environmentally sustainable, Mr. Minister of Environment, with a total reliance, sir, on solar power.
Green Island.
Green Island. Mr. Speaker, the Nonsuch Bay, before we reach that, we have broken ground on the US $1.2 billion project for Ghana Island property. I know that a lot of us are disappointed, and so am I, that more have not taken place with YIDA. And we got to be honest. But at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, Mr. YIDA have taken up nearly 80 million United States dollars and pay for the land. And if you don't have money, you can't pay $80 million US, over $200 million for the land. Because Datotan only paid $6 million and turn around and sell it to Stanford for $30 million. This man had paid 80 million United States dollars for the land. So if you're not serious, why are you going to come up with 80 million US? But sir, these developers, time takes time to do all your plans, get your approvals, bring in your environmental people to make sure you satisfy the environment division, all your engineering, it takes time. But the Prime Minister of this country called him in and told him, no uncertain terms, I want something started for my people. And you have to start something this year. And Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that in March of this year, 50 luxury 4-bedroom villas will be built on the mainland at Regent's Bay. 50 beautiful luxury bedroom villas. And this will include a clubhouse, a pool and a spa. And this, Mr. Speaker, will generate at least 250 construction jobs, Mr. Speaker. None such Bay, Mr. Speaker, will be seeing a further significant development with the United States $58 million expansion. This is not pie in the sky. Drive up to None such Bay and see the first phase that has already been completed and sold under our CIP program, Mr. Speaker. But this phase now includes an additional 188 keys, consisting of a hotel resort and freehold condominium units. And other amenities will include a yacht club, a spa, gym, and a wellness center, fine dining restaurants, as well as tennis and squash courts. Construction begins this month, February, not next month, this month, and will run for the next 36 months. And 180 jobs will be available in the construction phase, while 140 permanent jobs will be added when the facility opens. Mr. Speaker, I dealt with elite resorts in your absence. I hope you heard about what's happening at Veranda and the 69 new rooms that's being built by elite resorts. Other non-tourism investments. A Caribbean Hollywood, Mr. Speaker. The efforts of our government in attracting new opportunities to the country will be shortly realized in the film industry as we begin the process to make Antigua and Barbuda the Hollywood of the Caribbean. We are welcoming the leading directors, the actors and filmmaking technicians of the world to Antigua. They are coming to create exciting films, to capture the beauty, to capture the mystery, to capture the complexity of our country, of our people, our history, sir. And this is a classic example again of what the CIP was meant to do. It was designed to not just be a source of revenue, sir, but act as a catalyst to present new opportunities to support our government's vision for diversifying our economy. One of the options for the CIP investors is the business option, sir, where investors, sir, can use the business option, for example, in the film production business. And the government, this government has already announced the United States $125 million investment with Golden Island Film Works to produce 5 films, sir, which are ready to go. The first being Rebel, featuring the early life of Bob Marley, where filming will take place right here in Antigua and Barbuda. The country is putting up 50% of the Project 5 movie budget with foreign sales tax credits, sir, co-production, sir, expected to cover the balance, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, in addition to the benefits in high-tech jobs and the creative industries, the world celebrity spotlight will be placed firmly on our country. And anywhere, sir, that there's film industry, for example, such as Cannes, in France, there's an automatic growth, sir, in the tourism industry, particularly at the high end. For as I said, the celebrity factor and the associated positive press and the media coverage that it attracts will put Antigua and Barbuda firmly on the map. Mr. Speaker, one of the unmatched success stories of the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Aviation has been the envy of our regional colleagues over the last 6 months, has been our ability to attract new airlift, Mr. Minister of Aviation. Since the opening of the new Sir B.C. Bird International Airport in September of 2015, Antigua and Barbuda has attracted, sir, a record 5 airlines in 4 months. 5 new airlines in 4 months. Our new facility that has come in for rave reviews from the industry and passengers has been a catalyst for attracting new airlines. The growth in airlift has led to an increase in visitor arrivals in 2015 and will support the expansion of the industry with the new hotel developments. Antigua and Barbuda, Mr. Speaker, has a total of 156,864 seats from UK, Europe, with a total of 597 flights for 2016. Direct daily flights on British Airways from London will continue all year round, and this will be daily in the winter and 6 flights in the summer. 3 of these flights will be Antigua turnaround only and not shared with any other destination, sir, as happened in the past. Virgin Atlantic will operate 4 flights, with 3 of these dedicated as Antiguan turnaround flights only. The new configured Virgin aircraft will have more premium upper class seats, so that when our Attorney General flies, he can be comfortable. But I am getting back up there like you, sir. We have to start walking in the mornings. And this new configured Virgin aircraft will have more premium upper class seats that are the ideal fit to the high-end product that Antigua and Barbuda has to offer. The once-weekly Thomas Cook flight from Manchester, which started earlier in November 2015, will now be a scheduled flight rather than a charter, so anyone can book this service. Once-weekly Condor flight from Frankfurt will continue during the winter season. Mr. Speaker, our latest European airline arrival is Alitalia Eden Viaggi, who began once-weekly service from Rome and Milan with 239 seats in December. The all-year-round flight will be shared with La Romana in Dominican Republic. It means significant growth will now be seen from our second strongest European source market, Mr. Speaker. From the USA, we now have a total of 157,702 seats from a total of 1,013 flights, which are adequate in reaching the destination's goals for growth. The operations from Getting Air continues to increase. Daily direct flights from JFK, New York on American Airlines, along with direct daily flights from Miami, will continue on American Airlines with a once-weekly service flight from Charlotte, North Carolina. JetBlue, Mr. Speaker, commenced service to Antigua with 3 times weekly service in November of last year. The advent of JetBlue has been a major catalyst in reducing airfares to the destination. United Airlines, the destination will be served with up to 10 direct flights per week from Newark from United Airlines. Delta has increased service to Antigua with 2 flights a week from the important U.S. gateway city in Atlanta. Mr. Speaker, from Canada, we have secured a total of 33,688 seats from a total of 239 flights for 2016. Air Canada will service the destination for this winter with a total of 3 flights from Toronto and 1 from Montreal. WestJet, sir, will now be adding a larger aircraft of 179 seats, which represents a 15% increase in seats from our second Canadian carrier. Mr. Speaker, the growth in airlift has also been achieved in regional traffic to Antigua and Barbuda. In addition to the 30 flights a day from Liat to and from Antigua, we now have additional 34,184 seats from 232 flights connecting us to the region through Inter-Caribbean Airways, Power Dominicana, Seabourn Airlines, and Caribbean Airlines. Mr. Speaker, the destination will be attending the Roots Americas Airline Conference in Puerto Rico this month, where we will be meeting over 20 new airlines in our efforts to attract new airlift to the destination. I now turn my attention, Mr. Speaker, to Heritage Key and to St. John Development Corporation. The common areas of the Key will be restructured, sir, to cater for the free passage of all our visitors as well as delivery and emergency vehicles. It is our intention to improve the lighting of the overall Key by replacing the existing lighting fixtures and equipment with a green solution such as solar. But, sir, we recognize as a government that Heritage Key is at the forefront of our cruise tourism industry and should be a showcase for our people, for our culture, for our way of life. And with this in mind, St. John Development Corporation, sir, has been working very closely with the Ministry of Tourism and the technicians in the Ministry of Tourism to facilitate cultural and entertainment facilities to enhance the visitor experience in the Key. This has rekindled some much-needed excitement as well as an authentic cultural expression and identity in the area. The Vendors Mall has not been forgotten, Mr. Speaker, and will be redesigned to cater to our clients' needs. This will include relocating some of the existing booths to other areas to correct the clustering of the booths down there at the Vendors Mall and to avoid daily conflicts with tenants. Design of the booths will be reviewed and renovated to cater to all the tenants down there. A 50% reduction in rent has been approved by the Cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda and offered to all vendors in the Key until we are able to relocate them, sir, and effect repairs and construct brand new booths. The Antigua and Barbuda Exhibition Cultural Center at Perry Bay, Mr. Speaker, will be redeveloped with premier conference rooms to include a first-class VIP room and a theatre. We want to create a theatre, Mr. Speaker. State-of-the-art theatre will be detailed with backstage and proper lighting and audio. This exhibition hall will be modified to the highest industry standards, which will include scientific acoustic treatment solutions. The public market, Mr. Speaker, the public market will be upgraded to standardized requirements to include the immediate repair of the roof and public washrooms. All old and dilapidated stalls and shops will be refreshed and replaced. We will strive to provide a world-class farmers' market environment with authentic Antiguan flair and character. Since the construction of this facility, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party made and constructed this beautiful farmers' market and crafts market, Mr. Speaker, one of the finest in the Caribbean, and the former administration left it to fall into disrepair, run down, not even would paint it. The only thing they did, Mr. Speaker, down there at the market was paint over the bust of Sir V.C. Bird. They didn't even understand. They didn't even understand it was a sculpture. And it was in bronze and it should never have been painted over. And that is the only thing that they did. They never renovated or upkept or maintained that beautiful market for the people. They paint the bust. It's a bronze sculpture. Our leader emeritus brought in one of the finest sculptures of Cuba and asked the Cuban government to send him here to create that sculpture, and they won't even understand. They painted it over. The Heritage Hotel, Mr. Speaker. The Heritage Hotel has been a beacon of how sound leadership, strategic planning and effective management can reverse negative trends in a very short time frame. You didn't know all this was happening under your government, sir? Or you only knowing for the first time now? Previously, the Heritage Hotel front office and housekeeping staff worked on an average of 32 hours per week, whereas the restaurant staff members were performing their duties on a reduced work week that amounted to 6 days per month, sir, in some instances. As a result of our conscientious efforts at St. John Development, all staff currently work a 40-hour work week, and on numerous occasions the housekeeping and restaurant staff, of course, have to work overtime, and they're paid to do so. But the point that I want to make, Mr. Speaker, is that the average occupancy has improved consistently from the last quarter of 2014. Note I say from the last quarter of 2014 to present, due to our continued commitment to new marketing and a revamped business plan at St. John's Development Corporation. To this end, we have had sustained a whopping 35% increase in average occupancy at the Heritage Hotel, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member,
Yes, sir.
you've been going for 1 hour. Are you likely to want the 30 minutes extra?
Another hour, please, sir. Thanks.
All right, well, let's go at half an hour and see where you're going.
Thank you, sir. Much obliged. Mr. Speaker, in 2012, the occupancy stood at 37.52%. 2013, 37.12%. 2014, the occupancy at the Heritage Hotel stood at 47.82%. In 2015, Mr. Speaker, the occupancy at the Heritage Hotel, I am pleased to report to this Honourable House, is 76.67%. Revenue for the hotel in 2015 kept a similar pace with the occupancy figures. This is demonstrated by our age receivables having been dramatically reduced, while our business clients list has been magnified. Good. And Heritage Hotel's remarkable performance over the last year has made it the most positive contributor to the overall financial standing. Mr. Speaker, every single year St. John Development Corporation had a loss for 10 years under the UPP. Millions of dollars. And I'm pleased to report to this Honourable House, Mr. Speaker, that 2015 was the first year, Mr. Speaker, that St. John Development Corporation financial statements showed a positive revenue net profit, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to thank the chairman of St. John Development Corporation, Mr. Hector, the executive director, Mr. Neil Butler, all the boards of directors of St. John Development Corporation, the management and hard-working staff. Mr. Speaker, cruise tourism, another area of my portfolio that has seen phenomenal success, Mr. Speaker, has been the area of cruise tourism. Let me share with you and the people of this good country some of our successes. At the end of 2014, the destination recorded 540,264 passengers from 313 cruise ship calls overall. 1 year later, Mr. Speaker, at the end of 2015, we recorded 662,848 cruise passengers from 343 calls, with a record-breaking 12 inaugural calls for the season. This represented, Mr. Speaker, a double-digit growth of 10% in total calls. This, Mr. Speaker, is 122,584 more passengers than arrived the prior year. It represents a whopping 22% increase compared to 2014. So our administration's efforts have firmly placed our cruise tourism on the front burner, while the UPP had it for 10 years stuck on the back burner, and the pilot light had out. We are on the move, Mr. Speaker. We are on the move. In January of this year, sir, we saw our first visit of the Norwegian breakaway. This was a historic moment, marking the inaugural call of the largest ship ever to visit the shores of Antigua and Barbuda with over 3,000 passengers, sir, and almost 2,000 crew members. St. John's and the entire country came alive with a buzz of activity on Wednesday, January the 13th, 2015, sir, with a total of 15,000 passengers and crew visiting our shores from 4 cruise ships on that day. Mr. Speaker, the good news is that cruise tourism continues into 2016, which is forecasted to have 408 ship calls by the end of the year. This represents a whopping increase of 14% increase over last year's call, with over 700 cruise passengers, 700,000 cruise passengers expected by the end of this year. We are well on our way towards breaking the goal that the Prime Minister Brown have set for me, and the target of the 1 million cruise passenger barrier within the next 2 years. Mr. Speaker, the Heritage Key Waterfront Development Project will be divided into 3 phases. The master planners are right here sitting in the gallery. They came and made a presentation to us yesterday in Cabinet, Mr. Speaker. It will divide into 3 phases, with the first phase of the Heritage Pier extension slated for completion in November 2016 this year. This modification of the pier and the dredging of the turning basin, sir, is to accommodate the Quantum-class ships later this year. Phase 2 will have the harbour ready to accommodate the Oasis-class ships for the 2017 season, and this will require that the turning basin be dredged. Phase 3 will see the construction of a 3rd pier, maybe, for home porting, a seawall, the entire renovation of the Heritage Key area, dredging of the main channel, and reclamation of land adjacent to the Barnes Funeral Home of approximately 3 acres of land on Wapping Beach. This entire project is estimated, Mr. Speaker, in excess of $75 million United States dollars. The whole waterfront, Mr. Speaker, the whole waterfront, the Prime Minister set up a cabinet subcommittee with the Honourable Malvin Joseph, who was Minister of Tourism for many years and brings his insight and vision. The Honourable Minister of Public Works, the member for St. John's Rural South, and myself. Where Minister Joseph just reminded me that the entire waterfront will be redeveloped from down at Keeling Point to down at Perry Bay. What you call that pier down there by Perry Bay, sir? That Keeling Point, right, to the one down at Point Wharf. From Point Wharf to Keeling, the whole waterfront will be transformed. And the Chinese have already approved the United States $97 million for the cargo port facilities to transform Antigua's cargo port facilities into one of the most state-of-the-art and probably a transshipment port in the Caribbean. We would like to thank the Chinese Exim Bank and the government and people of China, of the Republic people of China. Mr. Speaker, the return of cruise to Barbuda has also been a notable improvement that has brought tangible and real gains for the sister island. We can never forget Barbuda, and under Gaston Brown's leadership we will never forget Barbuda. In 2015, for the first time, Mr. Speaker, a record 12 cruise ships called to Barbuda. This is a niche market, 12 cruise ships within the cruise sector that is expected to see increases in 2016. Following our engagement with the FCCA cruise officials, tourism will continue to bring benefits to all our stakeholders in the area of training, along with improvements to be made to the operational processes and to uplifting the product. The goal is to improve the spend on the island to get more money out of the tourists, from both passengers and from crew. We are aggressively charting a new course that will impact the national economy by widening the visitor experience, ranging from niche shopping to tours and excursions, particularly focused on heritage tourism, Mr. Speaker. Heritage tourism. So all local stakeholders, taxi drivers, vendors, store owners, tour operators, Mr. Speaker, are fully engaged as they see the industry growing even stronger as we work together for the common good of all. Mr. Speaker, I see the chairman of the National Parks Authority and the members of the board. I now turn my attention to yachting, for the yachting sector continues to be a key pillar of our tourism strategy, which will safeguard our status, Mr. Speaker, as the Mecca of Caribbean yachting. Mr. Speaker, in order to safeguard Antigua Sailing Week, this government assisted in sponsorship from both the Yida Group and the Burns Point developers to ensure last year's event was a success. The event, which cost of an average of EC $1 million to host, had 121 yachts entered, with 1,200 sailors, raising another 500 additional friends and partners representing 21 nationalities. The start of winter's year's charter yacht meeting, that is the annual boat show in December, has been recorded as the best ever, with over 113 different yachts and 135 different broker companies attended. I'm delighted, Mr. Speaker, to report that our administration has made considerable strides to solve the chronic water shortage that has traditionally plagued the industry, and the UPB administration did nothing for 10 years for yachting and neglected this key industry. The latest improvements include the reverse osmosis plant with 400,000 gallons daily capacity. And this, I'm told by the Honourable Member for St. Phillips North, my senior minister and colleague, the Honourable Minister of APUA, that later this week, Mr. Speaker, we will open up the reverse osmosis plant at Falmouth, and that problem of water will be a thing of the past. I would like to thank the Honourable Robin Yearwood for his timely intervention, sir. Your 40 years of service will never go unnoticed. You're the longest service parliamentarian in the whole Commonwealth. You never lost your seat. And the Prime Minister of this country and the people of this country will thank you, Sir Robin. Mr. Speaker, the Royal Oceanic Racing Club, the Rock 600-mile race, which had record-breaking times last year, has already seen a record number of entries of 80 yachts who registered so far for the month of February. So marketing support, sir, will be provided by the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority for the first time, Mr. Speaker, to ensure, because this is not just, Mr. Speaker, about the national parks or about the Sailing Week Committee. This is about the whole destination. The whole destination. So we are going to ensure that this prestigious event remains in Antigua. And to further support the yachting industry, we have revamped our customs processes to accelerate clearance of spare parts. I just read an article that our member for St. John City East shared with me, and thanked the government for the timely clearance in terms of customs and the procedures, Mr. Speaker. So we revamped all of our customs processes to timely clear spare parts and specialized equipment for yachting. And this government has also abolished the duty on the importation of yachts to our country to help ensure that more yachts will be based, Mr. Speaker. Definitely. Mr. Speaker, special concessions have also been granted by our government to ships that transport yachts to allow them to operate from our port. This will ensure that the large yachts that can be attracted back to Antigua and Barbuda participate in Antigua Sailing Week, sir. To better cater for the needs of the yachting industry, the government has allowed for the expansion of fuel services to provide low sulfur diesel, which is critical to the efficient operation of the luxury yachts. They used to have to go to St. Martin to get, and Statia to get their low sulfur diesel. Now they can get it from Antigua, Mr. Speaker. The next major initiative, which will be implemented this year, Prime Minister and the Cabinet just agreed to it yesterday, Mr. Speaker, will be to make an enclave within, not the entire area, but an enclave within the Falmouth and English Harbour area into a full duty-free area which will serve to extend the yachting season. That will serve, sir, to extend the yachting season into the summer months for the increased business activity. The government, sir, has also abolished the duty on the importation of yachts to our country to help ensure that more yachts will be based here during the winter season. And I'm delighted, Mr. Speaker, to report that the crowning glory in our efforts to cement our place as the yachting Mecca in the Caribbean will be realized with God's help. And God is going to hear our prayers, Mr. Speaker. Yes. In 2016, for the National Parks Authorities working, and I wanted to thank Dr. Reginald Murphy, Ms. Anne-Marie Martin, the Chairman and the Board Commissioners of the National Parks, for their working towards the achievement of World Heritage Site status by Nelson's Dockyard and surrounding environments. And in April of this year, in Istanbul, Turkey, it will be decided whether or not the Nelson's Dockyard and environs will be made World Site Heritage status. This, Mr. Speaker, will be a major accomplishment in attracting international funding and will be a major PR boost for this destination. Sustainable tourism, sir. We continue to build, sir, our tourism in a sustainable manner, not in an ad hoc manner as the previous administration did, sir. We have created a sustainable working action plan called a self-audit book, giving directives and advice to hoteliers and other tourism partners in sustainable practices. We have completed the historical mapping of all of our historical sites to include all of the forts in Antigua, all of the beautiful churches. We have some of the most beautiful historical churches in this country. So we have completed the mapping of all of those. Then the community training is underway, so that the communities can become economically sound and become more involved in tourism. We want to have everyone involved, sir. We have also conducted green tourism training for small properties in terms of conservation of energy and water. And the same training is soon going to be extended to our tour operators in the coming months. The Antigua and Barbuda Hospitality and Training Institute, Mr. Speaker. The transformation of the Antigua and Barbuda Hospitality Training Institute into a first-class institute of learning continues, with significant plans to improve the organizational and operational capacity of the institute. And I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Ms. Shirley Nibbs, who has made quantum steps to return this institution to a center of excellence, Mr. Minister of Education. The process has started with the restructuring of the faculty to be hospitality-centered, with the hiring of division tutors for food and for beverage and rooms division. We have also created a professional and relevant learning environment for the students by adding 3 new degree programs in tourism management, sir, and 2 certificate programs in housekeeping, management and reception and sales. The institute was designated by the OECS Commission's Network of Excellence in Tourism and Hospitality Training and Education as the Center for Specialization in Luxury Accommodation Management and Service. This refers, Mr. Speaker, to highly specialized training and development in fine dining, luxury homes, yachts and villas management. And in order to improve the human capacity of the institute, the Certified Hospitality Educators Program has been purchased, which allowed Antigua and Barbuda's certification of the majority of the faculty members. So that means that educators from colleges in St. Kitts and St. Martin also flew in to attend from the certification session. CHE is the only professional development opportunity designed for hospitality educators around the world. So the institute has embarked on a mission to forge great relationships with our various customers and stakeholders. We have established relations, this is very important, Mr. Speaker, which we lost under the previous administration, with the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institution, the Antigua and Barbuda Hospitality Training Institute. Relicensing as a global academic partner is also being finalized after the loss of this relationship for several years. Mr. Speaker, I now turn briefly to the website. The government of Antigua and Barbuda regained ownership of the ministry's website www.visitantiguaandbarbuda.com on April 17, 2015, after it had been discovered and revealed by a consultant this government hired. We hired the consultant, that one Mr. Oliver Turnbull of the United Kingdom was the owner of our domain name. Mr. Turnbull has been paid, Mr. Speaker, in excess of £849,000, equivalent to 3.2 million Eastern Caribbean dollars by the former UPP administration under John McGinley, sir, the then Minister of Tourism, to develop the website for the Ministry of Tourism. 3.2 million EC dollars under the UPP to develop a website. Mr. Speaker, although the UPP administration paid Mr. Turnbull more than $3 million to develop a website for tourism, the team of 4 persons, which grew to 6, who were hired in the ministry at the time to upkeep the website, you know what they had to do, sir? They had to email Mr. Turnbull in London in order to make an update to the website. Can you imagine that? Most of the updates requested of Mr. Turnbull never even realized. Thankfully, the government regained ownership and therefore control of the domain name almost 9 months ago. Mr. Speaker, you know what the cost of the ownership transfer back? They paid $3.2 million for a website. It's criminal. You know what it cost us to transfer the ownership back to the government of Antigua and Barbuda? US $8.17. US $8.17, or 22 EC and 6 cents. 22 EC and 6 cents. We're going to sue Mr. Turnbull. Of course. We have to sue him. He was busy in the command center when the members of the digital platform would call him and say they want to update the website. He said, let me tell you what he said to the Antiguans, the 6 digital, they're still there. He said to them, I am busy in the command center trying to preserve your jobs so that y'all can have a job when we win the election again. That's what he told them in 2014. The command center on Independence Drive that belonged to the UPP. Mr. Turnbull was paid $3.2 million of taxpayers' money. Working for the UPP. UPP
That's
while she's paid by taxpayers' money?
That's correct.
It is criminal.
That was the
And we're going to get back our money from Mr. Turnbull.
That was the campaign headquarters.
That was the campaign headquarters for the UPP.
Expensive, that's shameful.
Every cent. We'll get back. Every cent.
And on July the 1st, 2015, Mr. Speaker, 2.5 months after regaining ownership of the domain name, the government initiated the development of the website. The team of 6 persons with the former UPP administration, they did not see fit, those 6 Antiguans, to upkeep the website, successfully deployed a brand new Visit AntiguaandBarbuda.com website on October the 21st, 2015. Now the people of Antigua and Barbuda possess full and absolute control of our premier destination marketing website. For the first time, the website features a section for industry-related content, such as news clippings for the destination or the pertinent destination. For some time since the implementation of the new website, the team had been in discussions with Antigua Hotels and Tourists Association to explore additional features that could be very well made available on the website. On January 15, 2016, every participating hotel, sir, now has a Book Now button on the Visit Antigua and Barbuda website, allowing an interested visitor to convert that interest into a firm hotel reservation. The platform, Mr. Speaker, has integrated the website with social media avenues like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. These are very important tools, sir, which have high levels of activity on a daily basis. Content from the website is marketed through these short message social media avenues when complementing photographs, sir. Something as basic as that they didn't have. Over the last 30 days, sir, I'm pleased to report that we have observed an increase in Facebook page likes of 1,469, bringing the total number of followers to 113,838. And it's only 4 months since we have now had the website up and running. Antigua and Barbuda Tourist Authority Facebook page, Tourism Authority's Facebook page, presently enjoys the #1 spot in the terms of engagement throughout the region this week. This week, at 17,700 compared to Bahamas 6,800, Barbados 10,000, St. Martin 2,200, Cayman Islands 6,300, St. Kitts 1,300, St. Lucia 2,200, Grenada 95. We stood at 17,700 this week alone. Yes. Mr. Speaker, the progress we have made with the website in less than 1 short year has now made Visit Antigua and Barbuda a key component of our marketing strategy, wholly managed by key professional Antiguans and Barbudans for promoting our destination in a most efficient manner. For a way fraction, nowhere close. Not even $50,000 we spent so far on the website. Not even 20,000 US we have spent. They paid $3.2 million and he couldn't deliver. And he was busy doing work in the command center. Mr. Speaker, marketing campaigns. The introduction of the 2% ABST marketing fund, which was intended for destination marketing, has yielded strong performance in our overseas market, particularly the UK and Europe, which recorded double-digit growth last year. So in an effort to further stimulate the business, this administration, sir, committed a further US $1.75 million in 2015 for North America, 500,000 US for the UK and Europe, and 250,000 US for the Caribbean for marketing activities. And this was allocated from the CIP funds, and I'd like to thank the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. We are now seeing a turnaround, and we have embarked upon an aggressive marketing campaign in our major source markets, using all marketing channels to further create demand for the destination. For example, some of the exciting new initiatives include online travel agent campaigns with Expedia, TripAdvisor, have all been re-engaged for promoting the destination. And at the most recent Caribbean marketplace in Nassau, TripAdvisor reported showing second-year growth, strong growth seen for Antigua and Barbuda as one of the region's top-performing destinations. And Mr. Speaker, the real success story is with the online travel agent marketing program, Expedia. Sir, they have reported that Antigua and Barbuda is one of their top-performing destinations in the entire region. And Expedia, sir, has 94 properties listed and signed up in Antigua and Barbuda. 94. Almost every place of accommodation for visitors can be booked via Expedia's website. Revenues grew by 56%, with room nights sold to the destination increasing by a whopping 37%. They have sold a record number of room nights in 2015 and are setting a target of 50,000 room nights this year, 2016. Mr. Speaker, Antigua and Barbuda continues to implement specific tour operator campaigns. We have allocated significant amounts for both winter and upcoming summer marketing campaigns with Apple Leisure Group, BA Holidays, Virgin Holidays, WestJet Vacations, and Air Canada Vacations. Apple Leisure Group is one of the largest US-based tour operators and now includes Travel Impressions, Apple Vacations. They are pacing 6% increase in room nights for the destination and we're implementing a new marketing plan for 2016. Virgin Holidays ended 2015 with an increase of 10% in business to Antigua and Barbuda and is currently trading 16% on last year's bookings. That is Virgin Holidays, up 16%. BA Holidays ended 2015 with 16.5% from British Airways Holidays after allocating 7% more seats to the destination. Hayes and Jarvis delivered growth in room nights to the destination at a phenomenal 71% increase. 71% from Hayes and Jarvis. Kuoni, they have 11 hotels in their program and ended 2015 with 25% increase in revenue, with forward bookings also up 27% in 2016. We are now on the top performing Caribbean destinations, generating, Mr. Speaker, more revenue business than Barbados, who has 3 times the number of hotel rooms compared to Antigua and Barbuda. That is a fact. These are not my numbers. Mr. Speaker, I'm also pleased to report that we are included among their top 4 performing destinations globally. Globally, not just in the Caribbean. This is something to celebrate. Air Canada Vacations, as a result of the concerted marketing effort, we saw also an increase in passenger numbers over 2014, in spite of the weak Canadian dollar, which is having a downward effect on travel by Canadians globally. But the entire Canadian market, Mr. Speaker, is being dragged down by the weak Canadian dollar, which makes us as a destination more expensive. Yet we saw an increase from Air Canada, from WestJet. From WestJet, we saw an increase of 24%, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these results did not happen by chance. It is a direct result, Mr. Speaker, of this administration's vision, our commitment to the industry. The Prime Minister who have set these high targets for his ministers to achieve. The assistance of my cabinet colleagues. The hard team in the ministry headed by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Speaker, Ms. Paula Frederick Hunt, Mr. Warren Hector, Mr. Colin James, Mr. St. Clair Solin. The entire team, Mr. Speaker, is as a team effort. We have, Mr. Speaker, work to be done. We have an agenda that is set with targets set by our Prime Minister. That if we don't perform, all of us as ministers, we're not here set in a ministry that we own a ministry. We either perform or we put a new minister in the ministry. So we got to perform. We don't own the ministry. And I've said so to my staff. If you fail me, I fail, then I fail my cabinet colleagues, then my cabinet colleagues to fail the Prime Minister, and failure is not an option. We don't understand that. And Mr. Speaker, it's teamwork. It's not about Asset Michael, because on my sick bed for 2 months the ministry ran. And it did very well, because there was a team in place.
Well said.
Mr. Speaker, going forward for 2016, the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority will continue the focus on growing our business with the marketing strategies that have worked in 2015 and deploying new ones to take us to the next level. We have identified 5 major goals. We have a lot more, but these are the key ones. 1, to grow overall air arrivals by at least 7% over 2015. 2, to grow cruise ship arrivals by a minimum of 15% over 2015. 3, to attract at least 5 new airlines to Antigua and Barbuda. 4, to obtain major TV and PR exposure for the destination in North America and Europe. And 5, and this is very important, this fifth one, to explore dual destination marketing initiatives with Cuba. The last goal, Mr. Speaker, is one that should not be overlooked. Because as the U.S. embargo is quickly being stripped away, we see an unprecedented interest and surge in airlines and hotels seeking to commence operations in Cuba. And Antigua and Barbuda is one of the first English-speaking countries with a long-standing relationship with Cuba dating back to the 1980s. Must leverage on this relationship. And thanks to Lester Bird, our leader emeritus, who had the vision to establish diplomatic relations with Cuba. So it is the benefit of both of our countries that we work closely with the Cuban tourism officials to ensure that dual destination marketing programs are in place for those new visitors to Cuba who would like to have the experience of dual Spanish and English vacation experience. This means, sir, offering a product that would involve a stay in Cuba, followed by a stay in beautiful Antigua and Barbuda.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the remarkable growth numbers, as I've said, we are seeing in all sectors of our tourism products speak for themselves. The growth is there for all to see that the policies and plans of this administration have been implemented for tourism. They are working and delivering the results for the people of Antigua and Barbuda. So I now turn to investment. We've evaluated the functions of the Antigua and Barbuda Investment Authority, and I would like to thank and pay special tribute to Mr. Henderson Fields for his hard work in the Investment Authority. And we have concluded that it continues to promote the opportunities for investment, advocates for improvement in investment climate in our country, and facilitates ease of doing business. The government of Antigua and Barbuda had previously signaled its intent to disable the ABIA when we came into office in June 2014. As currently structured, citing costs among other considerations, because they had a big board, Mr. Speaker, of 13 or 14 people. Pardon me? No. We're going to streamline it. However, there's an understanding that a restructured ABIA is critical for the delivery of an investment, promotion and delivery service, sir, in keeping with the government's development and investment agenda. As such, there is a clear need for the continuation and expansion of these services, but in a more cost-effective structure in keeping with the global best practices. So, Mr. Speaker, the restructured entity will be poised to deliver strategic added value to the operations of central government. The existing legal structure requires a board comprising of 13 members, including 5 representatives from ministries and 5 representing NGOs and also the private sector. To be more cost efficient and effective, it is proposed that the board managing the restructured ABIA will reduce to 5 members. So, Mr. Speaker, we will come back shortly to this House with the assistance of the Ministry of Legal Affairs and propose an amendment to the ABIA Act. Budgetary allocation, Mr. Speaker. In order to continue the task of taking tourism to the next level, in 2016, the Ministry has been allocated $27,370,262, of which salaries and wages accounts for $12.6 million, leaving $14.6 million to cover operating expenses and marketing. Operating and marketing. Operating out of that is much more than the marketing. Our original request, sir, was for $23 million. The Honorable Prime Minister and the Cabinet of this country approved an additional $6 million, sir, for which I thank you, which was given as a commitment, and the Prime Minister said so in his presentation. And I quote from the Prime Minister, the government's commitment to redouble its efforts to improve the performance of this most critical sector. This increase will supplement the 2% marketing fund, thereby generating approximately $20 million for Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority to market the destination. End of quote. Mr. Prime Minister, I thank you and the Cabinet for your intervention, sir. But I have only last evening discovered, to my dismay, sir, that this allocation was not included by the Budget Director. And I'm appealing to you, Mr. Prime Minister, as Minister of Finance, to ensure that senior technicians from now on support your vision, sir, and provide the necessary resources for this vital industry.
You get it, man.
I know I will get it. And thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. And in addition, but they can't just defy the cabinet. They have to understand the importance of tourism. The Prime Minister made the announcement, made a cabinet decision, and they leave it out. Just like how they wanted to cut down health. In addition to these funds, our administration has already committed a further US $1 million from the CIP, Mr. Prime Minister, for marketing to be shared equally between North America and the UK and Europe to ensure that the momentum that we have started, the momentum in 2015, has to be continued. So the Budget Director, Mr. Chairman of Finance, must understand that.
Yes.
I thank you. Can't say we're doing it and we don't have the money to do it, and then just take out willy-nilly and just take it out of the budget. All right, thank you. Let me move on. Energy. I want to pay a special tribute to Mr. Ambassador Brian Challenger and young Mr. Gervin Piggott, who has been doing an excellent job in conjunction with the Ministry of Environment. Ambassador Diane Blacklane, who presently is in Cape Town, South Africa. I spoke to her yesterday. She's doing an excellent job for this country, the Ministry of Energy. This government is committed to a far-reaching program of development and reform of the country's energy sector. And to this end, we have set a target of 20-20-20. That is to achieve a 20% reduction in the use of fossil fuel by the year 2020.
Repeat that.
To this end, Mr. Speaker, we have set a target of 20-20-20, and that is to achieve a 20% reduction in the use of fossil fuel by the year 2020. And we are well on our way to achieving that goal. During 2015, my ministry has pursued a multi-pronged approach to energy, aimed at fulfilling its election mandate to modernize and transform the energy sector so as to provide more affordable energy to consumers. So the Ministry of Energy, Mr. Speaker, is committed, very committed, to seeing Antigua and Barbuda become a leader in the application. Not a follower, but a leader. Not just to have a simple energy desk in the Prime Minister's office, as was done in the previous office of the Prime Minister. They just had an energy desk with an ambassador sitting there and did nothing. For the past 18 months, a number of successful efforts have been achieved to begin the transformation of the energy sector, a sector which had been largely neglected for the past 10 years. We have now, Mr. Speaker, 10 megawatt solar power project, a substantial focus of the work of the Ministry of Energy. This year has been the government's partnering with APUA and the International Energy Company PV Energy for the installation of 10 megawatts of solar photovoltaic energy to be interconnected to the national grid and to be placed at various government facilities and installations throughout Antigua and Barbuda. The first phase, Mr. Speaker, of the project is now completed with the successful commissioning of a 3 megawatt facility at the southern boundary of the VC Bird International Airport. The 3 megawatt facility is located approximately 9 acres of land and includes fully computerized operational monitoring facilities integrated into the APUA system control network. The full 10 megawatt project will involve a combination of grid-scale and distributed solar installations. The initial phase at the VC Bird Airport is being followed by a 2 megawatt distributed across the island on various government buildings, hospitals and facilities, Mr. Speaker. Then a 4 megawatt at a location near to Bethesda, and up to 1 megawatt in Barbuda. 1.5 in Barbuda. The total cost of the 10 megawatt project is US $20.5 million and owned by APUA. It is estimated, Mr. Speaker, that the 10 megawatts of solar power to be installed will be able to offset of approximately 16,500,000 kilowatt hours of electricity annually, resulting in substantial savings in fuel costs and foreign exchange. Very importantly, the Ministry of Energy is working to ensure that there is effective transfer of skills and expertise that will allow Antigua and Barbuda nationals to be fully involved in all aspects of solar energy. This involves private technicians and installers as well as personnel from APUA. We also, Mr. Speaker, in this Parliament passed last year the Renewable Energy Act. At the policy level, a significant development during last year was the enactment of that act, which was a landmark piece of legislation aimed at transforming the regulatory landscape for energy in Antigua and Barbuda. And the objective of that Renewable Energy Act is to promote renewable energy development in Antigua and Barbuda by distinguishing renewable forms of energy from traditional fossil fuel sources and providing producers of renewable energy with a legal framework for producing, consuming and distributing electrical energy from renewables while connected to the public grid. During 2016, the Ministry expects to further its work in promoting renewable energy development in Antigua and Barbuda. PDV Carib, Antigua and Barbuda Limited, the chairman, Mr. Keith Hurst, our distinguished civil servant, over 40 years of service to this people of this country. I pay special tribute to you, Mr. Hurst. Mr. Speaker, the People Benefits Program for the unemployed, underemployed and disabled citizens of Antigua and Barbuda with an effort to improve their quality of life. At the end of this period under review, there were 2,411 beneficiaries on this program, 46 of which were in Barbuda. An average of 26 new applicants were approved to this program each month, and each beneficiary received a benefit of $215 per month to purchase groceries and other personal items from 4 authorized vendors in Antigua and 2 in Barbuda. I do not want to steal the thunder of the honourable member, so she will elaborate when she gets up to speak on her other initiatives in the government's recent plans. Mr. Speaker, our government continues to wholeheartedly support the people of this nation through the following programs. 1, the Senior Citizens Utility Subsidy Program, the Barbuda LPG Subsidy, the National Tennis Center, and the LED Light Bulb Project. Mr. Speaker, it's important that we place on the record our sincere appreciation of this important assistance provided to us through PetroCarib, and the experience of Caribbean countries during the height of the global financial meltdown has meant that the support provided to these fragile microstates by PetroCarib has allowed them vital economic space and innovative financing to support their struggling economies. PetroCarib remains a model for international cooperation among nations and is one for which we recognize the extreme vulnerabilities of small island states such as ours to a combination of natural and man-made forces. My government recognizes and appreciates that even with the drastic drop in oil prices to below $30 a barrel, causing considerable reduction to the petroleum revenues of Venezuela, the government of the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela has remained committed to the goals of PetroCarib initiative, and we say thank you to them. West Indies Oil Company, Mr. Speaker. The key West Indies Oil Company strategic plans briefly for 2016 will be a US $18.5 million will be spent on tank expansion and retrofitting to be completed at the end of 2016, resulting, sir, in an increase in capacity of 500,000 barrels generated, an estimated additional US $2.4 million annually in storage revenue by 2017. In turn, sir, this will provide jobs for at least 75 persons with all the ancillary benefits that the employment will bring, including increased contributions to Social Security and medical benefits. In addition, spend of US $6 million will be spent this year on a conventional buoy mooring system which is complementary to the tank expansion program facilitating timely loading and discharge of the product. There will also be an investment, I'm told, in new marine launch of $910,000 in investment in safety and environmental protection improvement and replacement of older bottles with new bottles. The latter investment will facilitate the further growth of the LPG business. By the year 2017, we will invest in a bunker barge. Projected expenditure of this, I'm told, is $2.5 million to facilitate the expansion into the bunker business. We also will invest $1.1 million in LPG storage, acquiring 6,300,000 gallons of LPG tanks to increase the LPG storage, resulting in greater product security and savings on freight costs. It is not just about constructing tanks, sir. It is about creating employment, sir. It is about strengthening the economy. It is about building the capacity to deliver the betterment that the people of this country want. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to briefly say here that I want to recognize and praise again the person who gave the leadership, the vision, the creativity to putting the nation of Antigua and Barbuda in the beneficial position it enjoys today with West Indies Oil Company and the gains it brings to our economy. Because as I've said, at the tank farm, groundbreaking, barring the acquisition of the syndicate estate lands by our national hero, V.C. Bird, I don't think that there's any single act as historical and as important to the social and economic development of this country as the acquisition of West Indies Oil Company. And this credit...
Honourable Member, you have 15 minutes to 2 hours.
Okay, thank you.
I need to remind you, not you alone, but the membership, that 8 persons have spoken.
Thank you, sir.
And
but
we
you
have
see, the
taken
Prime Minister,
2.5
I appreciate
days.
it. I will try my best, sir. Prime
So
Minister has
that
given me a
15
big
minutes,
ministry,
you
sir.
haven't touched your
It's gonna be too
constituency
big.
yet.
Thank you.
Of course, there's been a lot of asides that we could have done without.
Okay, sir.
You have 15 minutes.
And then maybe I add another 15. I will try and wind up, sir.
You're going fine, you know, but time is time.
Yes, thank you, sir. I will. But, sir, I want to really say here, sir, that we must recognize the person who gave the leadership, and that credit belongs singularly to our Prime Minister, the Honourable Gaston Brown, the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. For in April 2015, the government of Antigua and Barbuda, sir, acquired 75% of the shares owned by NPL, becoming 100% shareholder. And then in June 2015, Fancy Bridge, a Hong Kong-based company, acquired 24% shares of the company. And then PDVSA acquired 25% of the shares from the government of Antigua and Barbuda. And the new investors embarked on an ambitious plan by injecting capital into the business to expand its core storage facilities, sir. And now we have 51%. And you cannot own the land, Mr. Former Prime Minister, if you didn't even have the money to buy the company. You got to pay in your presentation, Mr. Honourable Member for St. John's, Rural West. And you said that you all had already negotiated the purchase of that 120 acres of land. Well, maybe you negotiated, but you can't own it if you didn't have the money to buy the company. You will expand on that, Member for St. John's, Rural North. Mr. Speaker, this year is the year of action, as I conclude, when we fulfill the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations of our people. Mr. Speaker, like a phoenix, we will rise, rising from the ashes of the UPP government destruction and mismanagement. We will rise like a phoenix out of the ashes of the UPP destruction. Mr. Speaker, in 2016 we will rise from the corruption, the incompetence, the failed policies, the negative growth, the bankruptcy and excuses inflicted by the UPP government on this nation. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, and Minister of Finance, the Honourable Gaston Brown, has led the way by example with the Ministry of Finance and his cabinet, ensuring that this nation was saved from total collapse of our country. And in summary, Mr. Speaker, the highlights of our fiscal and financial performance in 2015 include the following. 1. Record earnings from the CIP program of approximately US $200 million. By any measure, Mr. Speaker, this was an exceptional achievement which all of the people of this country can be proud of. Number 2, we fixed ABI Bank, saving over $500 million of our people deposits. We paid all the workers of their benefits. In saving the ABI Bank, we paid all the workers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we also saved not only the workers' jobs, we saved our national and regional banking system. We avoided the financial meltdown that threatened us for 4 years and the collapse of the entire financial system and the ricochet effect that it would have on our local indigenous banking sector. Mr. Speaker, they failed under the UPP government. They could not fix it. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, led by the Honourable Gaston Brown, fixed it. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, as I've said, the West Indies Oil Company deal we concluded in 2015 was one of sheer ingenuity, which without investing one single dollar, we now own 120 acres of prime land and 51% of a multi-million-dollar corporation. The government bought WIAC for less than half the price that the UPP agreed to pay. And we proceeded to sell 40. Yes, it's true, you agreed to pay 81 million US. I don't have the time today. In writing, the member for World North will expand and help me here. Okay? 5 extensions, you asked for 5. 5. So don't tell us about you won't get no land. You can't get no land if you don't have the money to buy the company. Mr. Speaker, in 2015, the sad and wasteful, costly saga of Half Moon Bay is closed. The Replay Resorts has bought the lands. The owners of Half Moon Bay will start to receive a substantial portion of the court-ordered payment. Mr. Speaker, this government also paid the workers. After all these years, sadly, some died in waiting. Some died in waiting, Mr. Speaker. But we paid. My government made right that wrong. We dared to care and put our people first. UPP government has always made many promises. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party government paid. We paid, man. Out of despair and frustration, incompetence and waste, the Half Moon Bay will rise. It will rise, Mr. Speaker. Fiscally, we turn around the ship of state from the depths of bankruptcy. We rise. We rise. The fiscal performance under the leadership of the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Mr. Speaker, of central government is projected to improve nearly 1,600% from a deficit of $6.1 million in 2014 to a surplus, Mr. Speaker, of $91 million or 2.8% of GDP in 2015. We shall rise, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we owed nearly $100 million in arrears by key creditors when we took office in 2014. We owed IMF, we owed Chinese government, we owed CDB, we owed Kuwait Fund, we owed everybody, Mr. Speaker, the University of the West Indies, the IMO. In addition, we owed the nurses, we owed the workers, we owed the local banks and the suppliers, we owed WIAC 80 million and APC 40 million, we owed the water company, we owed Semcorp, we owed Ericsson, and so many others, arrears and arrears and arrears. And we were left with no lights, no water, no gas, no hospital. People dying up there when we took office.
Honorable member, another warning. You are straying from your thing. You are adding a lot of stuff that comes under other ministries and all of that.
Okay, sir.
I cannot grant more than 2 hours for anyone.
I'm winding up now, sir.
And anyone means every single
sorry.
member. You
Thank
have
you, sir.
10 minutes.
Thank you, sir. I'm winding up now, sir. But I just wanted to say, sir, in crime and security, what you recall, Mr. Speaker, before we took office, what was in this country. And I want to pay, it's always related to tourism. And people were scared. And I have to pay special tribute to the Honorable Attorney General, Minister of Public Safety, and the Police Commissioner, and all the other heads of the National ONDCP and the Defence Force, Mr. Speaker. Because let me tell you, for tourism, it was a disaster, and for residents alike, what we inherited. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that crime is down, the lowest in decades. Rapes, murders are way down. Our beaches are now safe for tourists to go. Residents can now walk home in the nights. And we are now a safe place again in the world. You say not to go in other ministries, but you know, the health, what you did and what you achieved in 18 months is phenomenal. What you inherited, people dying up there, that management company that we inherited that we were paying, and you immediately got $10 million, the cabinet approved all the equipment. Pardon me? $10 million in laboratory equipment, no laboratory testing, and you bought it, Mr. Minister. And the old, expensive, ineffective management contract, you terminated it. And new management brought in new controls, new quality care. A minister who cares. And the suppliers and the service providers who were owed for years were brought up to date. And the threat of the hospital not having medicine and basic supplies was averted by the Honourable Member for St. Mary's North. I want to commend the Honourable Member for the sterling job that he's been doing to revitalize the health. Because tourists will not come to this country, Mr. Speaker, if you don't have a health sector that is good and adequate. So yes, it's important for residents and for people, but also for visitors, sir. Health tourism and in public health. What you have done in cleaning up a dirty country. You put hundreds of workers back to work, making Antigua and Barbuda shine once again. And all of us should give credit to this government for creating an environment that is once more pristine, that can attract and be a boost to our tourism industry, restoring community pride and national dignity. Our beaches were under threat, Mr. Speaker. And again the Ministry of Health rose to the challenge. And through the Environmental Division, they successfully kept our beaches open and clean and available for recreation for both nationals and tourists alike. And Mr. Speaker, when we came into office, you have to have infrastructure, public utilities for tourists to come in the hotels. If you don't have internet and you don't have bandwidth, I mean, come on, Mr. Speaker. They wasted over $50 million on a head office at APUA, while the public utilities degenerated into a bankrupt, fossilized dinosaur. You had line losses for electrical power and water. We had no water, Mr. Speaker, in our hotels. Then we were told about residual arrays and accounting gymnastics. Then came Minister Yearwood to the rescue. To the rescue, Senior Minister Yearwood. So, sir, we stopped the flow and waste of abuse in the Ministry of Tourism and in all of the ministries. We paid all the common bills to our suppliers and increased our water output and ordered new plants and parts, and understand we are ordering a second reverse osmosis plant. Mr. Speaker, for 10 years, disaster ruled in this country. While all countries charge telecom companies for use of the spectrum, in Jamaica, we're doing $55 million for use of the 2 blocks of spectrum. Last year we gave it away, thank you, Mr. Minister of APUA. We gave it away for free, Mr. Speaker. But it gets worse. The strategic and financially lucrative blocks like this, Mr. Speaker, of the spectrum, fiercely competed by.
Honorable member.
We don't even give our own APUA.
Honorable member, the member for St. John City East dealt with that fully.
All right.
You're repeating what another
but I'm trying to tie them into the Ministry of Tourism.
Contrary to the rules.
Okay.
Although I have told you that you're wasting time. Please proceed. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, yeah, but I can ask for more time. Some people spoke for 3 hours. Pardon me? Oh, but others spoke for 3 hours. But I don't even touch my constituency. Mr. Speaker, all I will say, while some rightly argue for reparation as a people, we continue to transfer wealth freely, without coercion by the previous UPP government, dispossessing ourselves without a whip on our backs or gun to our head. The law made us equal. Sadly, our minds still need emancipation. Under the UPP, I realize why I kept hearing Bob Marley singing in my head. We are so ignorant every time they can reach us through their political strategy. They keep us hungry, and when we want to get some food, our brother got to be our enemy and our brother. Yes, I can't sing. Our ambush in the night. But it is most fortunate now in concluding, Mr. Speaker, that some in our country have very short and convenient memories. It was only 3 years ago that in the throne speech under the previous government, the following was said, and I quote, "Our world is also being challenged in countless ways. Peace and security are fragile in many countries. Democracy is being challenged, and disasters induced by climate change are becoming more rampant. This changing world calls for all us to work in the interest of our nation and its people. The relationship between citizens and residents must be one that unifies in the hope of combating our many challenges. We must therefore remain focused and stay the course set forward by our government." End of quote. That was delivered 3 years ago in this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, one would never believe, judging for the events of last week, and especially the misinformation level against the ABLP, ably led by the Honourable Prime Minister Gaston Brown, that this same Antigua and Barbuda, for which we have all been challenged to work together in the interest of all citizens and residents. Mr. Speaker, over the last few weeks, many vicious things have been said by the purveyors of bad news who preach gloom and doom. Not only have they been disrespectful of the elected, but they have well perfected the art of using innuendo and nasty invectives to put snares in the paths of those fighting on this side for the recovery and progress of this nation. For Mr. Speaker, character assassination and lies on top of lies stalled Antigua and Barbuda's development in those dark days under the UPP. And I know, for I have been a victim, Mr. Speaker, of the type of malice for their political gain, yet I'm comforted that God saved the people of Antigua and Barbuda on June the 12th, 2014. And I am moved to share with all of us in concluding and wrapping up the words of the psalmist, King David.
Yes, I. Yes, yes.
Mr.
Yes, you have run. Yes, you have run.
Mr. Speaker,
Take your time. Read that one.
I know that in this honorable house, Almighty God abounds. And there can be some good from the people of Antigua and Barbuda, knowing for sure that in the first time in a decade, their public servants and representatives have worked steadfastly in their interests. Psalm 1 reading from verse 3 to 6 says, and I quote, "And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, his leaf also shall not wither. And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish."
Joseph is going to be proud of you.
Mr. Speaker,
Joseph is
I do not have to worry. The Prime Minister and his wife and his family do not have to worry. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party cabinet does not have to fret and wonder if their labour shall be in vain. For God is good.
all the time.
Even my honourable friend from All Saints East and St. Luke shall not fear the ungodly.
Yes, Reverend.
She shall not fear the ungodly. For some have already been driven away from this house by the electorate. What I will say, Mr. Speaker, is promises made, promises kept.
And what a wonderful way
We have
to
brought...
end your speech. Your time is up.
Yes, sir. 2 more minutes, sir. We have brought on stream 3 more. Several major investments that will bring a stronger, safer, and prosperous Antigua and Barbuda. Tourism is the lifeline of this country and continues to grow in leaps and bounds with the attention that we're paying to our rooms, to our product, to our branding of Antigua and Barbuda as the preferred destination. The jobs will come, Mr. Speaker, when many of the construction and other significant projects starts across this country. For under the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, this nation will reap. It will rise. It will become the economic powerhouse of the region. Mr. Speaker, unlike the UPP, we refuse to arouse the fears of the people and cause them to be divided when there's work to be done in rebuilding the economy and society. We cannot and will not use and abuse the media. We will not use the guise of a movement to spread seeds of enmity between brothers and sisters. When we are asking men and women to come to Antigua and Barbuda and tithe and ask.
Honorable member, that is irrelevant, and you're now tedious and irrelevant.
Okay.
I
Let me
ask you
conclude.
to terminate your speech.
Sorry.
You've
Okay.
had even more than 2 hours.
Thank you. Quickly,
Please.
sir.
That is the direction.
Okay, sorry, sir. Mr. Speaker, though I walk through the valley of death, I shall fear no evil.
We
For
had
God
our-
is with me.
we had
The
our
people of
prayers
St.
this
Peter with
morning.
me. And I with them. I'm speaking now to my people, sir, quickly. I have to. They sent me here. The ABLP will continue to strive for you, the people of Antigua and Barbuda. For we are building an all-inclusive society. We shall prosper. We shall spare and share in the spoils of victory. But all I ask, sir, in finishing now, all I ask those who are on the outside peeping through, though mischief be on their minds, say, Lord, if there is any good that I can do, let me do it now, if I may never pass this way again. I'm truly honored to have been made and to be made a minister in the Gaston Brown's administration, to be able to make a positive impact on the life of this nation over the last 18 months, albeit my illness. May God continue to bless us as a nation, Mr. Speaker, and take us to the promised land. One day coming, we shall all sing. We shall all sing promises made, promises kept. Let us endeavor in unity to the building of a stronger, safer, and prosperous Antigua and Barbuda. I'm obliged to you, sir, members of this honorable House, citizens and residents of Antigua and Barbuda, to you, Mr. Speaker, to my beloved constituents who I did not have the time to address today. Please accept my very best wishes for a bright